Hi, I'm Tom with Learn PDR Online, and in this video today we're going to take you step by step through the process for glue pulling with paintless dent removal. But before we do that, hit that subscribe button, click the little bell for notifications, and you can stay up to date with the next video release we do. In this video, I'm going to be using this very basic glue gun, and this is a corded one, so it's plugged into the mains power, but you can get gas powered ones as well, which are very good for being mobile and not needing the main source. But whilst we're here just doing a practice day today on this site, we're going to plug into the mains just to make it a bit easier. But this, just a very basic glue gun with specific glue for paintless dent removal. So I've got this plugged in and it's now nice and warm, so we're ready to get started. So that is step one. Step two, we're going to get our methylated spirits. Just a standard methylated spirits we can get from any kind of hardware store, DIY store. And then just a little spirit wipe cloth or any cloth, and we're going to use this to clean the panel. This has a couple of benefits. One, it just makes it a lot easier to see the full extent of the damage that we're doing. So really make sure we're having a clear vision on the panel. But most importantly, it's cleaning the panel so that the glue tabs that we use are going to adhere properly to the panel, giving us a good pull once we connect our slide hammer and pull the dent out. So very important to clean the panel. And me personally, I use this methylated spirits and we'll just wipe over an area to make sure it's clean. So that's step number two. Step three is to select the correct glue tab for the dent we're trying to pull. As a general rule, you are looking to have a tab that is the same kind of roughly the same shape as the dent, i.e. a small round dent, you would have a small round tab, and for a crease we would look for a rectangular crease tab. So selecting the correct tab is very important for a successful pull, but also it's having a tab that's just slightly smaller than the dent we're trying to pull. So typically if we have a round dent as this, we would look for a glue tab that sits just inside the radius of that. So it's slightly smaller than the circumference of the dent, and then we're going to put that right into the center and be able to pull it. So as a general rule, we're looking for a tab the correct size, so slightly smaller than the dent we're trying to pull, and then also the correct shape. So a round dent, a round tab, a crease dent, a crease tab. And step four, once you've selected the correct tab, we're going to just make sure it's nice and clean. So it's quite easy to leave glue residue on here from the last time it was used, but just make sure we've got it fairly clean to allow the new glue to adhere to the plastic tab correctly, and it just keeps it nice and tidy as well. So step four, make sure we've got a nice clean tab to work with. Step five is about assessing your environment. So the glue works differently depending on the temperature and the conditions that you're in. So generally in a warm climate, if you're working somewhere nice and hot and sunny, the glue is going to take longer to set. So you might have to allow for a longer setting time of that glue, or potentially try and cool the panel down, either put it in shade or perhaps with a cold air gun to reduce the panel temperature. And in reverse to that, if we're working in a very cold climate, a cold workshop, or just outside and it's a cold day, then we're looking to potentially warm up the panel, either with an infrared heat lamp or just a basic hairdryer hot air gun, just to make sure we've got the right panel temperature. Because if the glue is too cold, you'll find it just snaps off the panel and doesn't give you a good pull. And if the glue is too warm, i.e. it hasn't set yet, then it's going to give you a big stringy mess of glue and not really give you that pull that you're looking for. So step five is to make sure we assess our environment and adapt accordingly for the hot or the cold. Now step 6 and step 7 we're going to do together because they're very quick. So step 6 is about putting the correct amount of glue onto the tab that we're going to use, and step 7 is to apply it fairly quickly to the dent or to the panel. So step 6, we want the correct size, the correct amount of glue on the tab. And what that means is basically enough glue to fill the tab, but ideally not enough that it's overflowing once we press it on, that you'll end up with it all kind of pouring down the sides. But equally we want to kind of fill the tab so that we're using as much of this surface as possible to give us a really good pull. And then we want to put it onto that dent as quickly as possible whilst the glue is very hot. Then it can cool for the right amount of time depending on your environment. But step 6, correct amount of glue on the tab. Step 7, put it onto the panel very quickly. And don't burn yourself. So we apply enough pressure to displace the glue and make sure it spreads around the tab, but we don't want to press it in too hard that we push all of the glue out the sides and then there's not enough glue between the panel and the tab itself. So a bit of pressure just to make sure it's really sort of pushing out that glue, but not too much that there's no glue left underneath. Now that that's set, we can move on to step 8, which is I'm going to use a slide hammer, but there are different pulling devices you can use, like the pulling guns and clamps. But in this practice episode, we're going to use a slide hammer just to show you the method of pulling with glue pulling. So I'm going to use this lightweight slide hammer, and I'm going to connect my glue tab into there, and then we're going to give it a pull with the other end of the slide hammer. So that tab into the edge of the slide hammer there. Now I keep a bit of tension on this hand, so I'm just slightly pulling it, which gives me a little bit of pull on there, but also just helps me keep my hand steady. And then again, using this methylated spirits, the same that we use to clean the panel, is going to help us release the glue. So I'm going to spray just a small amount and then we're going to pull that glue off. So step 8 is to connect your slide hammer or pulling device and give it a good pull. And then we're going to move straight into step 9, which is releasing the glue from the panel. So now that we've given that panel a good pull, we can then move on to step 10, which is to reassess the damage. Now, if that pull has removed the dent completely, brilliant, job done. But more likely it's left you with a slightly smaller dent, in which case we'll have to select a slightly smaller tab and repeat that process. Or potentially, if we've had a really good pull, we've brought the panel out, so we've created a high spot, in which case we will grab our hammer and our knockdown and gently tap down that high spot, pushing the metal back in again, either till it's completely flat, or if it ends up with a slight low spot, then selecting the correct size tab and repeating that pulling process. So that is step 10, is to reassess the damage after the initial pull. So that's my 10-step process for glue pulling with paintless dent removal. Hopefully you found that useful and have learnt something today. If you have, don't forget to give us a thumbs up, leave a comment below, and you can hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon for notifications so you stay up to date for the next video releases that we do. I'm Tom with Learn PDR Online. Thank you for watching.